Hello, welcome to June 1st, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation video. Making this video and doing this exercise, in particular the exercise, because I can do this without the video. So if you ever see me miss a day on the video, it doesn't necessarily mean that I miss the exercise, because I can do it in my head or just do it walking down the street, whatever. And I do sometimes do it throughout the day. Not a lot, but every now and then will pull this out midday if I'm out for a walk or something like that, and just roll through this. It's an exercise that can be performed wherever and whenever. Anyway, I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and opportunities that I met, and, to think about and plan for the coming day and the challenges and opportunities I may meet. So let's begin. Last night and yesterday. Yesterday was a tough day. I just wasn't feeling up to it. And I might have been a little bit, nerve-wracked thinking about the big house decision, which I'll talk about in just a second. It was a tough day. I did my work. I had some challenges throughout the day. At work, there's an interpersonal challenge. It's too close to say to reality to talk about it out loud. I don't like talking about details at work. But anyway, let me just put it this way. I'm having a human challenge. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes people just don't see eye to eye. And I'm struggling a little bit with that, a lot. Although, so I had one moment that was tough, and then at one moment I totally redeemed myself. Within 2 hours of the two moments. So I know it's in me. I know I can do it, but there's a side of me that's stubborn, that as Yumiko would used to tell me a long time ago, I can't hide anything, and that's the fact. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing, and it's nothing big at all. Yet it bothers me. I would like to improve who I am, and I will endeavor to do that. Other than that, it was a good day, an eventful day. Yumiko and I made our decision about the what I guess I can call it the haunted house, maybe. After that video I uploaded yesterday, we were trying to decide if we were going to buy that house. What we call, I just called it the haunted house, but more properly, Yumiko and I codenamed it the Hirayama House, which means the flat mountain house, because it's in the village called Hirayama in Shizuoka. We had been looking at the place for about 2 weeks now after Yumiko found it, including contacting the realtor. It's the first house we've actually had that done. And we had 2 visits to the house by our family, my wife's family, her brother and his family, and her sister Yoko and our daughter Emily went there last week, and just without the realtor, and just looked around the place. And then they went back on Tuesday, which would be Monday for us, Memorial Day Monday, and got an inside tour. I cobbled together bits of video and still clips and created a video that I shared on social media yesterday and YouTube, etc., soliciting feedback about our idea. Now, this house is a disaster with a capital D, probably a death trap too. Funny that one of my closest friends on LinkedIn, which she's a great friend altogether, not just on LinkedIn, but she's a fire inspector, and she fired back a list of questions for me, and I commented to her, well, I would expect no less from a fire inspector. And it made me realize that place is a death trap. Anyway, even before all of that, I had posted on all the social media the video, and it was a long video, 13 minutes, cobbled together with eerie music, etc., and with a simple title of "Should Yumiko and I buy this house for $25,000? House in Japan for $25,000?" And then the tour. And if you see it, you'll see just what a disaster it is. I mean, it is a ghost house. It would require a lot of work to just be livable again. But that was part of the plan, right? We have a budget for the house, and we can use the budget in multiple ways. We could use the whole budget to buy a house that's ready to live in, or we could use a part of the budget to buy the disaster cheap, and then use the remaining budget for the, as they say in Japan, the reform and the remodel of the house. to make it livable, right? That's what we would do with this place. The main attraction to this place was the location, which is our highest criteria, number one criteria, to find a place that's countryside, yet close to the city, close to Yumiko's family, close to amenities. And this house in the village of Hirayama is square in the target of that. That's our number one criteria. In fact, I have a spreadsheet that's all laid out, and I weight these criteria. Yumiko and I score the houses, and I give them a weighting, and the attraction gets a heavily weighted positive score. And in doing so, this house rose to the top of the list. There's currently 4 houses on the list. It rose to the top of the list, and the next houses below it are quite a ways down in terms of score. And then there is one house, well, and I had a great conversation with Yumiko earlier in the week during our walk on a slightly different topic, but we came up with the concept of, I was sharing with her the English concept of the white whale, and Ahab. I told her about Moby Dick and how you can be distracted and miss out on opportunity by virtue of our hunt for the white whale. And I told her that, another house in a similarly sounding community called Hirasawa, not Hirayama, but Hirasawa, is the house that we're after. And I told her that's our white whale. The problem is we can't contact the owner, though, despite our efforts to try to buy the place. So Hirasawa is on the list, this Hirasawa house, but we can't plug in data, or we can't even make it real, because it's like the white whale on Moby Dick. We don't know where it is. We can't reach it. We can't get to it, and we may sail past opportunities in our search of the white whale. So how did all this end? After I posted, keeping the white whale in mind, keeping Hirasawa House in mind, after I posted on social media in all the various places that I do, the video and the request, long 5-paragraph description of our criteria and interest, and a request for comments, an RFC, so to speak, to use the lingo. Within about 30 minutes, my phone rang. I was sitting out in the garden playing guitar, and the sun and Yumiko was still working, because I started earlier than her, so I finished the day earlier than her. So I was sitting out there playing the guitar, and Yumiko was still working, and the phone rang, sitting next to me. It was Emily calling online. And I answered it, and immediately jumped up and went inside and put the speakerphone there with Yumiko. And it was an intervention. Now, Emily had been to the house. She's in Shizuoka right now. She's staying with her family there. She had been to the house. She had talked to the realtor. She had seen the place firsthand. And she basically was calling us. She had seen my post, I believe. I didn't actually ask her that, but the timing was too close to doubt that. And she called us to basically tell us, Mom and Dad, you haven't been here. You don't know what this house is like. Let me tell you a few things about the place. And her comments were decisive and greatly appreciated. She told us, for example, that the house is very dark. Now, we kind of knew that, and we did know that. We had plans to remediate that, but she was like, no, you guys don't know just how dark it is. It's really, really dark. And we may not be able to do a lot about that. So that's one we'd have to consider. We don't want to necessarily live in a very dark house. She mentioned that the road outside was busy. I mean, not busy. There's not a lot of cars because there's nowhere to go. It's just a village. Sure, the road goes up fire, but there's nowhere up there. So there's not a lot of cars, but she mentioned that it's narrow and some of the cars go by really fast. She wanted to point that out. I imagine 2 old people creeping out of the driveway onto that road. So that's something to consider as well. And then she said something that was really interesting. This is heavy. And I might struggle a bit to find a way to say it in words, in appropriate words. She commented that now Emily grew up in Yada, which is very close to Hirasawa, which is the other Hira, right? The white whale. The white whale is very close to where Emily grew up. In fact, she was up there walking there earlier in the week. She commented that something that kind of subliminally I knew, that Hirayama, the ghost house, that community is at the wrong part of town. It's not that it's bad. It's not the other side of the tracks, but it's not our part of town. Our part of town is the other side. Good observation, Emily. You're right. So that was it for me, and it was it for Yumiko. With no words even passed. We were probably within an hour or 2 hours of making a decision. If Emily hadn't called, probably we would have decided to buy the house. Everything is lined up. Everything's ready to go. It would have taken just a phone call, or not a phone call, but an email. I think Emily saved us from that. Now, sure, we could make Hirayama work, and we could make Hirayama our community. But we're not going to. Not just for the reasons Emily pointed out, but they were kind of the clinchers. Something inside of both Yumiko and I was not quite right with that house, not quite right. And then also the thing is, what's the hurry? We're not in any hurry. There's not a timeline at all. I mean, in fact, it would be optimal if we go over and just find the community that we want to live in, like Hirasawa, the other Hira, and rent an old house there. Or, as Yumiko said in our dog walk yesterday, we can rent a house out in the deep countryside for all we want. Try it out. Hey, maybe we'll like it out there. There's lots of opportunities out there. Right now, the reason we're holding back on those houses, like the Golden House, right? I love the Golden House and the Wasabi Village House. Those are the other two houses on the list that are on the top 5 list. So there's the Hirayama House, the Golden House, the Wasabi Village House, then the Hirasawa House. So there's 4 on the list. The only reason that the other two, the Golden and the Wasabi Village House, are not seriously being considered, they're just too far away. They're about 53, 55 minutes. I use one train station near Yumiko's family as my target destination. So I measure in Google Maps how long it would take to drive from a particular house to that train station. And it's like just under an hour. So, I mean, that's doable, but do we really want to live that far away? We know that if you live that far away, you go in, on the weekends. You don't go in as a matter of course. If you live 15 minutes or, 20 minutes, I mean, in all honesty, it's about 25 minutes from the Hirayama house, that ghost house, to the train station. That's not that close either, but at least it's really close we could go down the street to a convenience store. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. You get the idea. It's another thing to live in the deep countryside. So Yumiko told me yesterday, so why don't we just, if we don't find a place before we get back, why don't we just go live in the deep countryside and try it out? Who knows, maybe we'll like it. If it works out there, then we can buy one of those houses out there and have it all, except for the convenience. But then we learn we can overcome that, right? So there's no reason to wait. Plus there's no reason to rush. Plus of a couple of compelling reasons. The number of vacant and available houses is only going to increase. Emily told us that the realtor told her that the city of Shizuoka is planning some measures to start the turnover of these houses by increasing the taxes, or maybe the Japanese government is doing that at large. So that maybe the Hirasawa house, the person that owns it, the man who owns it, we know who he is. He won't pick up the damn phone. Maybe he'll be motivated and compelled. Also, Emily told us that in visiting her friends, making the rounds with all of her friends. Now, remember, she grew up in that community. She knows people everywhere. That one of her friend's mothers, who has grown up in that area as well, along with Yumiko. That Yumiko and her friend's mother were friends in school back in the day. Imagine that. She was saying, told Emily, she says, I know all kinds of old farmers that want, as Yumiko said, they're ready to give up their farms, but they don't have anybody to sell it to. Well, there you go. That's in the Hirasawa or Yada area. Now, Yada, where Yumiko lives, that's probably going to be outside of our price range. That's one of the reasons, because we do have a budget for the house. I mean, we're not spring chickens anymore, and we're going to be living on a fixed income. We have to be careful. We have a good chunk of money to use to get the place. We would like to be able to do that, and we can do it in one fell swoop and be no mortgage or anything like that. But if we were to buy a house right around where Yumiko's family lives, probably can't pull that off there. Those houses are very expensive. But if we were just 3 kilometers up the mountain road, we could pull one of those off for sure, and then we don't want to have a mortgage or anything. So that would be good. Anyway, I'm way off topic. So we decided to not go for it. We didn't even decide it. We just looked each other in the eye, talking to our daughter, and the decision was made. We have Emily to thank for that. Thank you, Emily. And another part of this, the fun continues. We get to keep at it because this is a hell of a lot of fun. Yumiko and I are really enjoying searching for places and looking them over and learning along the way. So thank you, Emily, if you see this, and if you see this far. We really appreciate it. Well, I really did a lot just talking just now, and I haven't even done the good life yet. So let's do it real quick. 7 objectives. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities. And 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Now my 34 principles are war, reason, homunculus, anchorhold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, principle of family, social principle. I just did that one. Public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the feast of Offal, distraction, agency and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility. Nothing is enough, and the principle of fun. Might have missed 1 or 2 there. So we as for today, it's my last day for the week. I only worked 2 days this week because I had my surgery on Tuesday. I'm doing all right. It hurts a little bit. I need to take my pain medicine. I should know the results next week. Today, got a full day of work ahead of me. I'm just going to ramp up and do it. I'm going to do it. And then after that, we got 3 days off to consider and plan things out. Wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.